Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Roomies Review the Movies with me, Maria, and
Lindsay.
we're real life college roommates who now review movies. And we like to do movies the other has not yet seen. So this week, it's Lindsay's turn to see something she didn't see when she was younger. And I chose for her The Little Mermaid 1989 Disney classic. Now,
Yeah.
I saw this in the theater when it came out. So I was really into Little Mermaid as a kid. Um, I had the little toys you got from like McDonald's, and then I had for my birthday, my parents like did my room up with Little Mermaid stuff. So I had the bed sheets and curtains and towels and stuff, and a little outfit. Everything but the doll, which is what, what I majorly wanted. But I
Uh,
was very into Little Mermaid. They even copied the VHS tape so they didn't have to rent it anymore until they were finally able to get the actual VHS.
yeah.
But what was your experience of Little Mermaid, Lindsay?
Well, uh I didn't see it at all. Um my mom wasn't that type of mom to take us to go see kid movies. We had to go see movies that were above our age.
Mm-hmm.
So when a Little Mermaid came out, like all the friends saw it or whatever, but I didn't even ask my mom if I could go see it. So
Yeah.
yeah. And I think I recently brought that up to my mom, and she was just like, "Yeah, I wasn't taking y'all to see nothing like that." So yeah.
She was paying for the ticket. She said she needs to enjoy it too. I mean, I get it.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. So yeah, I do know that there was quite a few songs that I already knew that
Mm-hmm.
were in the movie. So that was pretty cool. Um, and then I kind of like knew like the gist of the story. But yeah, actually seeing it, I hadn't done that. So it was quite an experience. Unfortunately, I'm looking at it with an adult mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking way deeper than probably I should have. But it was
I mean, you just
enjoyable.
kind of got to go along for the ride.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but I did enjoy the ride. I'm not going to say that I didn't, but yeah, there was a lot of stuff like if somebody wanted to really do a deep dive
Mm-hmm.
into the problematic things that the
Oh,
little was doing, I'm sure they can have a lot of material. So
oh yeah, and there are lots of videos on YouTube about the issues with Little Mermaid and various Disney princesses.
yeah,
So you're not alone with that.
yeah.
Uh, but for anybody who isn't familiar with The Little Mermaid, Disney's version of The Little Mermaid, it's about Ariel, who is a 16-year-old mermaid princess who is obsessed with the human world. She collects all kinds of knickknacks that fall in the ocean for her own a little collection. She's always trying to find out what they are. She's just kind of fascinated with the idea of the human world and what's in it. Um, and it gets to the point where her father is really upset with her about this, because humans are very dangerous, which is true, right?
Hmm.
And he just does too much, destroys all of her things, right? And she's also met this guy, Prince Eric, saved him from a shipwreck. So now she's like in love with him because she's 16, and she's got to be human to meet him. So she makes this deal with the sea witch Ursula, legendary Ursula, based on um the drag queen Divine from the John Waters films.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, she's got the like one of the most banging villain songs, "Poor Unfortunate Souls," total classic.
Uh-huh.
So Ariel signs this contract with Ursula. She'll be human for 3 days. She has to get Eric to kiss her a kiss of true love before the end of the third day, or she'll turn back into a human. And she has to do all of this without having her voice. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was a cool little twist.
yeah.
Yeah. So, um, yeah.
And of course, because it's a Disney film, it all works out, right? It
Right, right, right.
all works out in the end. Um,
Yeah, I was like, huh, I wonder how she gonna do that because that's pretty much how she wooed him, unbeknownst to her, you know.
right. After she saved Prince Eric from the shipwreck, she's singing to him, and that's the last thing he remembers of her, is him waking up and hearing her singing. And he's just
Hmm.
like on the search for this woman with this voice, when Ariel shows up, mute with legs, and he's about to give up on his dream of searching for this, siren maiden person, when he hears what he doesn't know is Ursula with Ariel's voice singing on the beach.
Hmm.
So Ursula has her spies of these eels who, like, she can see through their eyes and stuff. They're keeping
Hmm.
track of Ariel and Eric, making sure they don't kiss, because that's the whole thing, right?
Right.
And so she sees it getting too close. She decides she's going to take matters into her own hands, transforms herself and uses Ariel's voice and magic to basically hypnotize Prince Eric into marrying her instead. Because Ariel's entire goal is to become the ruler of the sea. Not Ariel, I'm sorry. Ursula's entire goal is to become the ruler of the sea through having Ariel captive.
Hmm.
She'll be able to make a deal with Ariel's father, Triton, for his Triton and become ruler of the sea. But it doesn't work out for her. Prince Eric, this is one of the few villains where you actually see them like be killed. A lot of times in Disney, the villains just kind of fall to their death and you don't really see it. But this was definitely one of those ones where you actually see her. She gets stabbed with a ship, like, and falls to the depths of the ocean. Um, but that's rare for a Disney film that you see the actual death of the villain.
Wonder why they chose to go that route.
To show her death on screen.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can't really fall from a depth into the ocean, if they're
Point.
gonna have their big battle in the seas. Like you can't have that dramatic fall. It doesn't really work that way.
Yeah. Right. Because you're already there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. Um. Huh. Yeah. Because you wonder like what other way could it have happened. I guess like it really isn't no other way.
Yeah, there's not a lot of they can't do their old reliable, so they have to do something else. Um, but the music, of course, is done by the legendary Alan Menken. Very iconic soundtrack. Like Lindsay was saying, even though you didn't see the movie, you were like, "Oh, I actually know this song."
Yeah.
So, which is pretty great. But yeah, I was obsessed with this movie as a kid for sure.
Yeah, I can see why because the visuals, especially for back then, they were very vibrant and colorful. And then I don't know a kid that doesn't love the water.
Yeah,
Excuse me. Yeah, so it was heavy. I mean, of course, because we're talking about mermaids, it was heavy on that. So I can definitely see the appeal. Then you're talking about two attractive people getting
hmm
together as well. So I can definitely see the appeal that it gave. Um,
yeah, and you have that theme of parents just don't understand, kind of thing. So
yeah,
every a lot of kids can relate to that as well.
right, right. So, yeah, even at little ages, when you want something and your parent tells you no, you know, like
Yeah,
parent just don't understand why I want this, even though you pleaded your case, they just do not understand why I want this,
all
So,
they say is no, right? And
yeah,
honestly, Triton is kind of scary. Like,
yeah, yeah. But he was a softie for his daughter.
unfortunately, he wouldn't just like actually talk to her. He
Hmm.
just told her no, you know, and all the yelling and then like the destroying of all of her things, and I was like, I can understand why she might want to away from home.
Right, right. You get why she wouldn't mind being a human.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Need a little staycation above ground, above water.
Right. Right. So with I was thinking this when I was watching it, like with her turning into a human, like permanently, does this mean that she can no longer see her family below?
So I actually ended up watching for the first time actually last week the sequel and the prequel for The Little Mermaid.
Hmm.
So in the sequel, Ariel has a daughter with Eric, and they have basically the beach comes up to the castle, so
Hmm.
they'll meet like their mermaid family members, like who are on the shore, basically. Um, but because there's another sea witch who's also, it's actually the sister of Ursula, trying to rule the ocean again. They block it off to keep the daughter from the water and don't tell her anything about it, all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Um, but they can go see each other. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I
And
was.
then with Triton, he can turn them back into mermaid.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So could he have turned Eric into a merman?
I suppose so, but the thing is, they don't really know about mermaids, right?
Hmm.
It's Ariel that has this fascination with the human world. And Eric, I don't think they really know anything about the whole mermaid situation, that it's real. It's probably like just a story that seamen tell each other, but I don't think they know that there's a real kingdom underneath them.
Even after they got married and stuff, like she couldn't have just told him. Like it's
Oh
just.
yeah, I'm sure. I mean, after they got married for sure, because he sees her like at when he's getting married to Vanessa, aka Ursula, and the sun's going down, and the spell is broken. He sees that she is a mermaid, so they know at that point for sure.
Yeah.
But it's Ariel's dream to be human, so
Okay. Okay. I can get that then. Yeah. Why it would have been way easier for her to conform.
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Once she understands that forks are not hairbrushes.
Hmm. Yeah. So, what was your biggest takeaway that you remember as a kid?
I think as a kid, I liked the music. For me, it was really interesting that she had red hair. um, just the idea of like being a mermaid and being able to swim, because I loved swimming. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
as a kid, being able to like swim underwater without having to come up for air was really cool. The whole transformation was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the romance was cute or whatever, but like it was just kind of the more adventure aspect for me, like, and just the idea of like the whole underwater civilization.
Yeah. So it was the romance was secondary.
Right.
Okay. So she
I mean,
could have
he's
married
cute.
a
Like
merman.
Eric is cute or whatever, but I'm like 8. I don't care.
Yeah.
you know.
That's why I'm like, she could have married a merman for all you cared.
Right.
Yeah. So okay. So that's cool. So watching it as an adult, was there anything that you caught as an adult that you didn't
Oh
catch
yeah,
as a
for
kid?
sure. I've had a lot of time to like think about that kind of thing, and I really think about the scene where Ariel goes to visit Ursula.
Mm-hmm.
And Ursula's telling her, you'll have your looks, your pretty face. Don't forget body language. The men up there don't really care for conversation. I'm like, how does she know this? Like, well, how does she know this?
Right, right.
Um, so I think that's really interesting. She's selling her this idea of, being silent is actually better for you, right? Because they're not really interested in who you actually are. I was like, what
Mm-hmm.
happened to you, Ursula? Like, what did you go through?
Yeah.
yeah.
Now that was a big takeaway for me. The Ursula character. I don't know if you can tell by my tweets, I was a little obsessed because
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, who hurt you? Like,
Well, I had heard that they did have a story for her where she had been like an advisor to Triton. and then got kicked out for some reason, or that she was even related to Triton as well and was kicked out for some reason. But
See,
even in the prequel, she's not there. It's like a totally different character.
yeah, yeah, but I can see why. Oh wait, the prequel, she's not there. Okay,
Mm.
but see, I picked up on something totally different. I picked up on, okay, maybe because one of my questions was, how does Triton have all these kids around the same age, and no mom is there? I was like, okay,
Well, in the prequel, he does have a wife, Queen, of the ocean, and they're like the best of friends. She is the mother to all of his children. I figure it's some kind of like seahorse situation where all the eggs are fertilized at once or something.
mm,
That's
okay,
that was like because they all are like the same age, pretty
yeah,
much.
yeah.
I think there may be like a 1 or 2 year difference, but it seems like most of them are the same age.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I picked up on because I was just like, is this an Irish twin situation? Like, does he have a whole bunch of baby mamas?
No,
Like, what is going on here? Like, and then I even was like, is Ursula a baby mama? Like,
no.
I don't understand why she has it out for him and just was like, you know what? I'm taking over everything, you
Yeah,
know.
there was some kind of political or familial drama that, for whatever reason isn't brought up in the prequel, but yeah,
Hmm.
that's what that's about. She had been banished for something.
Yeah,
Which
I
is why
would
she lives in this cave on the outskirts and she's so, desperate to get back in.
love. Okay. Yeah. One thing I did say, because what we're doing now is we're live tweeting when we watch the show, especially like if one of us hasn't seen it at all. And so it was my turn to live tweet. And another thing that I was like, Ursula needs her own origin story.
I totally agree.
Yeah. Like a Cruella de Vil type origin story.
Now
You
we
know,
are getting a live action Little Mermaid sometime later this year.
yeah, that's
Um,
what what's her name? The one of the Baileys.
yeah,
Hallie.
yeah, yeah.
Hallie.
Hallie,
Yeah. Yeah.
Hallie will be playing Ariel, and so that'll be interesting to see if they add because they typically do with the live action, they add a little more than there was in the animated version.
Uh,
So they did
so
that for a lot with Beauty and the Beast.
okay. So I wonder with the live action because we all know Haley is black. So is this going to be a black cast or are we just going to act like race doesn't matter?
It's not going to be an all black cast.
Mm,
I know Prince Eric is white, so for
okay.
one, right? But let's see, because like the live action cast, all I really know is Holly and like the guy who's been like uh, cast for Prince Eric.
Mhm.
But it'll be interesting to see here. So let's see. Yes, we have Holly Berry as Ariel. Melissa McCarthy is going to be Ursula. Javier Bardem is going to be King Triton.
Who is that?
Javier Bardem. Oh, he's a pretty well known actor. He was in quite a few things. My goodness. So let's see. What was he in recently? Um, oh, he was in Dune recently. Yeah.
Dune? I
He
didn't
was
see.
also in the Lucille Ball movie on Prime. He plays
Okay.
Desi in that one as well.
Okay. So her
Mhm.
dad is going to be Hispanic?
Yes, Javier Bardem. I believe. Yeah, he's from Spain. So yeah.
Okay.
So he's gonna be her dad. So it's giving me like Cinderella from
Yeah.
1997.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing about it, you were asking about her mom, Ariel's mom.
Mm-hmm.
In the prequel, she is killed by a pirate ship that crashes on the rocks where they're like chilling. So
Oh,
that's one reason why her father is so anti.
anti-humans. Okay, that makes sense. That
Hmm.
makes sense. Yeah, but see, you wouldn't know that unless you saw the prequel.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I remember kind of thinking like that might have been a thing because he's so aggressive with Ariel about this whole situation.
yeah, but they
But
like legit don't even mention that the girl got a mom, let
no,
alone
yeah,
what happened to her.
yeah. And they're
So
gonna have David Diggs as Sebastian,
okay,
Aquafina as Scuttle. So we're doing a lot of different races and ethnicities here, which I think is pretty cool.
okay. So I'm glad you brought up Sebastian because one thing that I did tweet about with Sebastian, I was just like, people consider Crab as bottom feeders, and we're gonna make him Jamaican.
Do they consider crabs better feeders?
Some people do. I don't,
I had
but
never heard that before.
yeah, I just heard that recently. I heard shrimp and crab is considered bottom feeders.
I've never heard that before.
Now I heard shrimp was like considered the roaches of seafood, but
What?
I heard that before, but I tend to not think
Give me
about
some,
that when I eat
right? Give
shrimp.
me some coconut sea roaches, then, please.
Okay. So, but yeah, nah, but recently I heard that about crab.
Oh, I
Um,
had not heard that about crab before, but
yeah, yeah, because it had something to do with, um, how they used to give us the scraps in slavery,
hmm
and
and I had heard that about lobster, but not about crab.
see, I never heard that about lobster.
Lobster used to be a
Higher,
food for
higher.
poor people.
Wow.
Mhm.
And honestly, I'm not a big fan of lobster. And
Yeah.
I guess you gotta cook it right,
hmm
and it's genuinely not cooked right because it has such a rubbery taste to it that I'm just like I don't understand why people like
hmm
this. But yeah, yeah, that's what I heard about shrimp and crab, that it was food that they just threw to us and we made it do what it do. Which I can see why black people would love it so much
Yeah.
because I mean that's the same thing with chitlins and we love chitlins, so
Well, we make chitlins. We eat chitlins. I don't know how many of us actually love chitlins. What? You love chitlins?
yeah.
I'll eat it once a year with like some hot sauce and mustard, but I'm never like, where are the
And
chitlins?
I don't eat it with hot sauce and mustard.
No, you eat it plain?
No, no, no.
Okay.
I eat it with ketchup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, back when I was a kid, I didn't eat hot sauce.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, everything had ketchup on it back then. So I still
Yeah, for
eat
me,
it.
it was just mustard for me, and then I eventually added hot sauce. So
Yeah. Yeah. But even the people that eat chitlins look at me crazy when I say ketchup. So
I've never seen that. So that is
yeah.
definitely new. Okay,
Yeah.
one of a kind.
So
Um, I had not heard that about crabs, but Sebastian's one of the most important characters in the whole show.
right,
Like,
right. He's like the donkey in Shrek.
oh, not the donkey. I think he's better than the donkeys.
I mean that's what brought to my mind when I saw
Really?
and saw how he moved. I was like, he's basically the donkey in Shrek.
Well, Sebastian is the advisor to the king, and like he gets assigned. He's also like the royal composer, which is a whole thing in the prequel. Because after the mother is killed, because Triton gave her this really beautiful music box, right? And that's
Mhm.
what they were listening to when she got killed. So he like bans all music in the kingdom.
Mm.
Yeah. And Ariel and Sebastian are the ones who help him to um, try to move on and like learn to enjoy music again, um, which kind of makes it even all the worse when Ariel misses that concert in The Little Mermaid. It's like,
Mhm.
girl, you're the one who brought all the music back and you forgot the concert was happening. How?
Right.
but Sebastian like runs is like performing in this underground nightclub basically where all the sea life listen to music, live performances and stuff, and like dance.
Yeah.
So he's a pretty important guy. He's definitely, I think, smarter than Donkey. You know,
Yeah.
but you have to have an animal sidekick in a fairy tale. You know, that's the way it goes,
Yeah.
especially if you're going to be a princess.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
That's
and he
true.
definitely has like some of the most memorable songs from the soundtrack. Uh,
Mm-hmm. The
Under the
undersea.
Sea,
Mm-hmm.
a banger, nobody can deny. Like it's still
Right.
classic.
That's one of the
And then
songs.
also Kiss the Girl. So it actually ended up winning awards like for the music, like for best original score.
I can see that.
Hmm.
I can see that because it really is it really is catchy and will stay in your, especially that Under the Sea.
Hmm.
I think like one of them cruise lines was using that song.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
They use the music from that song for one of their cruise lines. Disney has cruises themselves too, right?
Right.
So you can go on a Disney cruise. There's actually a song in Encanto that like borrows some of the music from Under the Sea for a few bars as well.
Mm.
Um, because I remember hearing it and thinking, wait a minute, this is Under the Sea. And how long had it been since I heard that song? Forever, you know.
Right. Right. Right.
But it sticks with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they won for Best Original Score, Academy Awards for Best Original Score and Best Original Song. Kiss the Girl was nominated but lost to Under the Sea. So
Right.
it was also nominated for Best Picture, Comedy and Musical, and Best Original Song. And they actually won a Grammy in 1991, specifically for like Best Written Song for Under the Sea.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can definitely see that. I can definitely see that. Yeah, because it was a pretty infectious song.
yeah.
So
Um, I don't know if you remember, but a few years ago there was like this kind of live, half animated stage version that they put on TV with Shaggy as Sebastian and Queen Latifah as Ursula.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I watched that one as well. It was really interesting how they. It was interesting how they integrated so many things to like kind of to try and make it work.
Hmm.
So you had the actors, you had people who were dancers, you had puppets, you had like things in the audience, like the audience had certain little props they were using as well.
Hmm.
Um, Things hanging from the ceiling, and then they also had this large screen in the background that had animated parts. So
Oh,
these would all work together and like to do particular scenes. However, of course, you can't. There are a lot of like scenes in the movie that wouldn't translate really well to stage, so they would just show the movie part for that part.
hmm.
The only thing about it was like the last 30 minutes or so were almost all movie, and it was just kind of like, yeah, I seen that. I came for the live integrated version part.
Right, right, right.
Um,
Yeah, I can
but
see why like the water scenes would probably be a bit difficult.
know,
Yeah. So probably the first few rows in the theater would be wet when you leave.
right. I
So,
wondered about that too,
yeah.
but they did not use actual water too much, so
Okay.
that was not a problem.
Okay.
But
So.
it was interesting to see how they have all these things play together to recreate these scenes.
Hmm.
But overall, it's just kind of okay, And it's so difficult when you're doing a live performance to make sure people's voices are right and things like that.
Right.
Um, but it was interesting to see.
Yeah.
I did enjoy seeing Amber Riley on there.
Hmm.
She was a whole newly created character for that performance,
Okay.
which I don't blame them. If I could have Amber Riley singing my thing, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. Like,
Like she said yes. Okay, we about to write her in. Like
right, exactly.
so yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, so that I was kind of thrown off with that part cuz I'm just like why is he Jamaican and why oh And
Why is
he's
he
the only
Jamaican?
one.
I mean,
It's
this is supposed to be happening. Uh, it's a Danish fairy tale, so it's supposed to, I don't know. It's very far from Jamaica.
I was wondering where they're at, what year it is, because I was just like, okay, what century are we in?
Oh
Yeah,
man, that's a good question.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That
Um,
was a takeaway for me because I got to put myself in somebody's century. So where
where are we in time?
are we?
Right.
Right.
It's supposed to
I
take
was
place
cool up until
some.
we got to Prince Eric on the ship and he's getting this stone of him that was supposed to be a wedding present. I'm like, how a stone of him by himself gonna be a wedding present? Like,
Grimsby doesn't really know what Eric wants, like, which is kind of the problem, because
right,
he's like, I thought you and this other princess were taking off, and he's like, no, you know,
right.
and
But
he was in this whole statue, and Eric is like, I don't really like this.
but whether they was hitting it off or not, like, what does a statue of him by himself got to do with him and his wife? I was like,
Well, Grimsby, I don't. He like again, he doesn't really know what Eric wants, so he
yeah,
just, you know,
he didn't know his son at all.
that's not his son.
That wasn't his son.
No.
I thought that was his son this whole time. Okay.
Mhm. He's like his advisor and like yeah, his helper or whatever. That's not his son.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We don't know who the king and queen are. We don't ever see them. It's just Prince Eric.
Okay.
But it's supposed to take place during the half part of the 18th century, the first half of the 18th century.
The first half of the 18th century, and it's Dutch.
Well, yeah, the original story is yes, that's correct.
So, did they have slavery?
During the mid 1800s.
No,
Um,
in the Dutch part of the world. Cause I know like
well,
Dutch is like Amsterdam, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So did they have slavery over there?
Well, probably, I don't know if they had slaves necessarily there, but they were engaged in slavery. Mhm.
Okay.
From the 1860s on.
Okay. So they must have been part of the slave trade or something.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yes.
Okay. So that could potentially have been a slave boat.
Which one?
The boat that wrecked.
Oh, with Prince Eric or the one that killed little Ariel's mom?
No, the one that Prince Eric.
Well, no, it's supposed to take place in the first half, so before the 1860s. So not yet.
Before the 1860s, slavery was going on.
Of course, but it just depends on when your country jumped into it. That's what I'm saying.
So they had slavery in the Dutch countries after the 1860s.
Well, what I'm showing here, let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. They first started to abolish in 1860. So
Okay.
uh, that's yeah. Let's see. They were involved in the slave trade between 1596 and 1829. Wow, it's a long
Mm.
time.
So that could have potentially been a slave boat.
Possibly, maybe.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Although they were usually using their enslaved people in the Caribbean and like small islands and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it wasn't necessarily like America where the enslaved would be brought here and sold here.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, that still kind of threw me off that Sebastian was Jamaican and he's like the only one.
The only one that we know, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, how did he get from Jamaica?
The sea is connected. I don't know.
Yeah. So, yeah,
He he had ambitions to be part of the royal crew, I guess.
I guess so. I guess so. Yeah. Yeah, I did kind of make a hard left with that one. Sorry.
It's okay. We're here to
But
discuss the movies.
yeah. Yeah. What else?
But this
Oh,
was like the start of Disney's resurgence, like they're part of their golden age.
uh-huh.
They've been kind of floundering with their animated stuff before this, and this was one of their first like big hits. So after this, you get Aladdin, you get Beauty and the Beast, you get all those classics, Lion King, and everything. So this is the one that really kicked all of that off.
Right. Right. Which you can kind of tell because you didn't really think about what Disney did like in the 70s or in the
Right.
early 80s or nothing like that.
You've
So,
got like like Rescue Rangers or something, or the Great Mouse Detective. You
hmm
know, I kind of saw those when I was a kid, but not really as much as like these other ones.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
these these when we were actually kids, that was during their resurgence and
mhm.
it was huge.
Yeah.
It was huge. Yeah.
I cannot even explain to you how big it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It was big sitting on the sideline watching y'all have fun.
no.
So, but
But yeah, the budget was like $40 million and it made $235 million.
yeah, I can definitely see that. I could
Yeah.
definitely see that. I wonder what it would be with today's dollar with inflation.
Oh goodness. It's
Probably,
still,
probably like a half a
huge.
million. Yeah,
Half a billion, you said?
half a million, or yeah, half a billion. Sorry.
It's good.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, the dollar hasn't gone down that much. Oh my god.
Right. Yeah, because I didn't realize, but that's 33 years since this came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't realize it came out in '89. I thought it came out in like 90, 91 or something like that. But
Oh
yeah,
no, it's 89. I can understand why you think 1991.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, 89.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I didn't realize that till I was watching. I was like, golly, 33 years.
33 years. And it still looks pretty good.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
It aged very well. It
It's
aged
pre
very.
Pixar, all that stuff. Even Beauty and the Beast, when they had the whole Be Our Guest scene, was like very legendary at the time for the 3D animation it used during that scene. And this is
Mhm.
before that.
Right, right. Yeah. So there was something else. Oh, another thing that I took away from it was Disney as a whole, their villains are fly as hell.
Yeah, the villains are some of the most fun parts. They have
Yes,
some of the best songs.
yes. And they look great.
Yeah, they're very
Like,
distinctive.
always fly. Like,
Hmm.
I was just like, dang, because like when I was watching it and I started thinking about their villains and I was like, I can see why people low key will root for a villain.
Hmm.
You know what
I
I'm
mean,
saying?
there's a whole Disney villain show. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, like I get it. And I mean, I like to root for the underdog and stuff like that. Like to go against the grain, but they make it easy for you to.
yeah,
Like you're not shunned from your village when you do. So I was just like, oh, I would love for Ursula to have a origin story.
yeah. I'm quite sure that like I think there's been like a YouTube series about that.
Hmm.
Like people do all kinds of things like that. So yeah, I would definitely love to hear more about that. I'm really hoping they include that in the live action.
Yeah.
Although I can't lie, I was really hoping they would cast Lizzo as Ursula.
Huh.
You know,
That's a good one. That's
yeah.
a good one.
For now, it's Melissa McCarthy, who's very funny, so it's probably going to be like a more
Yeah.
comedic thing.
You know what I've been watching lately is Mike and Molly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Now I peeked in when it was on CBS. I peeked in every blue moon,
Hmm.
but it's on TV Land now. And sometimes I watch TV Land when I'm asleep. I know that sounds weird. When I'm going to sleep or whatnot,
Yeah.
or waking up. And it actually is a pretty good show. Like I already like Melissa McCartney, but I get it now.
Hmm.
I
Yeah, I
definitely.
was a fan of hers from Gilmore Girls.
Oh, see, I didn't like the way they talked.
A lot of people didn't. I loved it. I loved the sarcasm and everything, like that dry humor. I'd love that.
Yeah. Now I'm a big sarcastic person, but I don't know. It just I couldn't get with the way that they talked, and I was just like, yeah, this ain't for me. So
You're not the only person I've heard said that, like specifically about the way they talk. They're like, no.
yeah, yeah.
But
Just
yeah,
like,
that's where I knew her from.
okay, yeah. 'Cause I didn't even know she was on Gilmore Girls.
She plays Suki. Uh, she played Suki. I can't remember her last name right now, but she was the cook and lead chef for the inn that Lorelai was running,
Oh,
and
okay.
it really stood out to me at the time because she's this bigger woman. They never comment on her weight. There's never a
Mhm.
storyline about her losing or gaining weight. Even when she does lose and gain weight through the show, there's nothing said about it. She just gets
Mhm.
to live her life. She gets to be married and like all that kind of stuff, like just like a regular person. And it doesn't have to be about her weight at all.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, because it's
Because
very rare you ever get that. Because that's the whole thing. Like why I didn't watch Mike and Molly is because it was so much about their weight. I was
yeah, it was
like,
happy.
can't they just be people on TV? Like,
Yeah,
you know.
right, right. Because like on the surface, it looks like a newer, more polished version of Roseanne.
Mm-hmm.
But um, Roseanne and Dan, like they didn't really harp on their weight. Like we knew they
No.
was a big couple, and you may have gotten a joke every blue moon about their weight,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't about their weight. And
Right.
yeah, yeah, it is kind of a thing on on the Mike and Molly show, but it's pretty good nonetheless. So um, yeah, yeah. So that would be interesting to see what she does because she's a really good actress.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be interesting to see what she does with that role.
Yeah.
But Lizzo would have been a good idea as well.
Yeah, I would have enjoyed that if they don't know how much music they're gonna keep in it. I'm sure it's gonna be quite a bit, especially considering they have David Diggs in there.
Mm,
Because he was in Hamilton, he was in Blackish as well. And he also has his own rap group called Clipping, which is really good. I love their stuff.
okay, I didn't know he had his own rap group, but
They
I
are good.
yeah, I
I
do know.
sent you that song for Scream. Was it the Nev Campbell song?
Uh huh.
That's them. That's Clipping.
Okay. Okay. I didn't know that was him in there. Okay.
Hmm.
But yeah, I like him from Blind Spotting.
Oh, I love that movie. That's one of my favorite
Yeah.
movies. I got
You
to
know,
interview them for that movie.
you said what?
I got to interview them for that movie when they premiered it
Oh,
at the Atlanta Film Festival.
oh, okay. That's cool. That's cool. But my favorite part was when they were when they were talking about that fight that landed him in jail.
Oh, it's such a yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The way
And,
they
and they
was
played
absolutely
Crazy Bone
perfect.
in there. So
Hmm.
they had me as
They
soon as
had
he
you.
sawed off Leatherface. I was there. I was playing that scene for people and everything. Like
We may have to review that one too.
yeah,
For
yeah,
one
that
that we both know. Yeah,
that'd be a good one because I always wanted to see it, but when I finally saw it, I was just like, this is such a good movie.
it's
Yeah,
amazing. It's definitely one of the best movies of that year, hands down.
yeah, and so this is off subject. Sorry, but did you watch the show?
I have not watched the show yet. I do want to.
Okay, I I kind of was turned off
Oh, really?
watching it. I because I haven't watched it either, but I kind of was turned off because I don't care about old dude's baby mama.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and she's not black anymore.
It's the same actress.
She looks like a totally different person.
Same actress.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe because she had braids. But I was just like, this ain't the same person. This
It's the
looks
same
like a
person.
Hispanic person.
Absolutely the same person.
Okay. See, that's part of why I got turned off. Cause I'm like, his baby mama was black in the movie.
She's still black. She's still there.
Okay. But he's not black no. I mean, he's not white no more.
He's still white. It's the same characters.
Okay, so she moved in with his family, but they look Hispanic. I was so like, yeah, maybe I need to read the synopsis because I was
Yeah.
so thrown off. That's why I was like, I don't know what they're doing, but I'm not here for
It's
it.
the same. It's the same. It's the same duo behind the show too.
Yeah, I saw them do interviews. I think they did an interview with Pay or Wait,
Mhm.
and I saw them talking about, but I was just like, I'm not watching it.
We should give it a shot. We should give it a shot. We should both give it a shot.
Yeah, so um,
I like them as a team. But going back to Little Mermaid, Lindsay,
yeah,
why don't you tell us about our ratings? Our ratings.
yes. Let me pull it up. I'm usually more prepared. Sorry.
It's all right.
I went a little left. Sometimes we go left, and sometimes we bring it back, and that's
You
okay.
know,
So,
sometimes you have to have an aside. You go off topic. It's all right.
right. So, our rating system. One movie reel is trash AF. Two is it exists. Three entertaining. Four great. Five a true classic. So I unfortunately, because I'm looking at it in adult eyes, I would probably give it a 3.5 overall.
Oh,
Um, I mean, it was definitely entertaining, and I mean, it wasn't nothing where I was like, oh my god. So, but I do get why everybody loves this movie.
mhm.
I do get it, but it was a couple of things where I was just like, mm, yeah,
Yeah. When it came out, it did have like a 93%. Well, it has 93% approval on Rotten Tomatoes.
yeah, I saw
Um,
that.
for me, of course, it's a five.
Yeah.
It's a classic. You know,
Now,
I
why do you
mean,
consider it a classic? Because that's very high.
well, when it came out, at least, what it did for Disney was incredible, turned the whole company around. What we got after that, right, is so much due to this one movie being so successful.
Mm,
The music, it still sticks with you. It's still iconic. Like you can play Under the Sea for literally anybody, like,
yeah,
and it's gonna work. Looking at it now, it still looks really good,
yeah,
especially for 2D animation. And especially like when you get some of the scenes that use like the lightning and the lighting they use, like when Triton's using his Triton to like destroy the grotto, and the lightning that you see on Ursula when she gets stabbed or whatever, like, and she gets so it's like actually kind of scary when she gets that big, right? And she
hmm,
takes the ship down with her and all that stuff. I think it's just a classic for sure. Like
yeah,
I was really shocked you had never seen it. So
yeah, yeah. Like, yeah, that was not on the list of movies to watch.
yeah. I mean, you get the sequel, you get the prequel. There's also a Broadway show. Like,
Hmm.
definitely cultural benchmark status.
Yeah, yeah. I can definitely see it, and now I really understand why when I would say I've never seen it, people would be like, yeah, like they go through the motions, and I'm like,
You're like, what? Like, okay, yeah.
right, like okay, so, but um, but yeah, like I definitely get it. Um, I feel like you explained your point on why it's a classic very eloquently, so I definitely understand um why you would give it that rating. Yeah, but yeah, but for me,
Def-
I mean, it was entertaining.
Mhm.
So
It was entertaining. Yeah.
yeah, it was definitely
Yeah, you
entertaining.
definitely have to try to put yourself in the mind of like if you were a kid, how would you
Yeah,
what would you think, you know?
yeah, yeah. You do have to suspend your logic.
Yeah. Because these are definitely like kids movies that were made for I mean they're supposed to be entertaining as well, but they are made more for children, right?
Mhm.
Because you brought up Shrek earlier, and Shrek was one of those kids films that were it was made for kids, but also adults could
Right.
really enjoy it. And this was before that,
This
so
was
that wasn't really
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, because I didn't really start paying attention to how parents felt about being dragged to go see these movies until probably like around Shrek.
Yeah.
So, so yeah. Or maybe a little bit before because adults enjoyed Toy Story.
Yeah, that's true. Just didn't enjoy Toy Story as well.
Yeah, yeah. But that when that came out, that like just was like an anomaly
Yeah.
amongst the other stuff. So, um, so yeah, that is The Little Mermaid.
Yes. Well, thank you all for joining us today. And Lindsay, if people want to find you online, where can they find you?
They can find me on all social media at L_Ranelle. That's L_RANELLE. And also my other podcast, The Ish We Talk, where we talk about a variety of things. Yeah. So
Anything that's on your mind. Yes.
yeah, it's pretty open. We can talk about sports, we can talk about politics, pop culture, all types of things, and we come from a different viewpoint, a different mindset. It's me, my cousin, and my friend. So now it's three of us. So two
Nice. All
guys
right.
and a girl. So yeah,
2 guys and a girl and many opinions.
yes.
Yes. But you
Okay.
can find me online on Instagram and Twitter at Valar More Dollars. You can see on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. But that's spelled VALARMOR dollars. I'm also on a podcast called Nerdgasm Noir, where it's 5 Black women talking about nerdy and geeky things. So you can find me over there too.
All right.
Mhm.
Cool. And
Yes.
what are we gonna do next week?
I don't know. It's my turn next week, so you got to think of something.
Okay.
But we also, leave some suggestions in the comments, leave us a 5-star review, and we might actually watch that movie as well. Give us a thumbs up and be sure to share with your friends who might not have seen Little Mermaid or love Little Mermaid so they can
Yes.
get in on the discussion too.
Yes. So next week, I'm gonna give you a couple of options and you pick which one.
Okay.
We can either do Belly, which to me is a classic, or another classic, Napoleon Dynamite.
I've seen Napoleon Dynamite. I've seen it
Okay.
multiple times. So let's do Belly because I've never
Belly.
seen Belly. It's currently on Pluto TV for free.
Yeah. Is it? I thought it was on Tubi as well. Maybe they took it off.
Yeah, they might have switched it out.
Yeah. So, but you said Pluto.
Hmm.
Okay. So next week we are doing Belly. So we hope to see you guys next week.
Yes, thanks for joining us, guys.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.